How many people in here meditate? Oh, a good amount. How many people meditate as much as they should? Yeah, it's like same here. I know I'm supposed to do it. I don't engage with it as much as I should because it's kind of like the gym. You know, you'll do it for a while and you'll be like, okay, I'm good. And then you kind of go sideways and you're like, oh shit, I got to go back, right? So the reason that why do you think that we advocate for meditation?
Still mind.
Yeah, still mind, yeah?
Creates oneness.
Creates oneness with what?
Yourself.
With yourself, exactly. So meditation gets you to the root of who you are. So one reason that there's a couple of reasons, right? One reason is because when you're in the field, stuff is going to happen that you might not necessarily like. You know, you get called a mean name. You say someone throws a drink on you, or you just get a drink spilled on you for that matter. I mean, I don't even consider it a night out until I've had some beer spilled on me, because I move through the crowd in a very aggressive manner often, or a very assertive manner, decisive with purpose. Let's say that I move with purpose through the crowd. But what are some other things that could happen? You see your ex-girlfriend there with her new guy or something. You get kicked out of the fucking club. Or you just get a super hard blowout. So all of these things can cause you to go into like the circle, the drain of despair, as I call it. And a lot of guys, how do they try to get out of a so-called state crash?
Drink.
Well, yeah, drink. That's a whole separate issue. But a lot of times guys will start to try to think their way out of it. You know what I mean? Like, why? What's going on? Or they'll like come, if they're on a boot camp, they'll be like, I'm having a state crash, Jeff. And I'm like, durr, suck a dick. And I'll drag a girl over to him. Like, I don't even want to engage with that. Because again, whatever you resist persists, right? So you can't, trying to think your way out of a state crash, it's like trying to dig yourself out of a hole. It's just not going to work. So with meditation, it acclimates you to being in that centered place, okay? So with meditation, we focus on the breath, right? That's one of like the hallmarks of mindfulness, is just focusing on the breath. And so when you experience an adverse thing in the field, you're able to kind of return to that place, return to center, and move forward in a positive direction. So that's one reason. Another reason is because meditation, as he said, it gets you kind of to the root of who you are and what you want. And oftentimes, I think the biggest issue when guys are having difficulty doing an approach, they have approach anxiety, is that they have a muddied intent, right? And again, if you've been with RSD for any length of time, you've likely heard us expound on this at length. But just to kind of reiterate, most guys, they want two things. They want to get the girl, but they also want to avoid rejection. So whatever you want more is what's going to manifest. So you might think, well, I certainly don't care about being called a mean name more than I want to fuck. However, internally, you might have some very convincing reasons to avoid the mean name. When we talk about alignment of intent, a clear intent, a clarity of intent, it's again an alignment in what? Your thoughts, words, and actions, right? So most guys, insofar as they're trying to get the girl, their words and actions are aligned with that goal. However, their kind of self-talk is not. So when they go up to the girl, they're saying the things that a guy who's attracted to them would be saying. You're doing the things that a guy who's attracted to them would be doing, but they can tell there's something awry. There's something amiss. It's not quite congruent. It's not adding up, right? The girl's kind of like, where's the beef, right? There's no behind it. Like, this guy does not actually want to fuck. This guy does not actually want to hook up with me. Like, there's something unusual. So again, what tends to happen with that, your amygdala is always scanning for difference, danger, threat. So when they can't entirely suss out what's going on, they're like, this could be dangerous. Not necessarily in those explicit terms, but it's just like, something's weird, no. So basically what you're doing is you're telegraphing to the girl you want her to leave, right? So when you actually want her to stop, when you actually want her to talk to you, when you actually want to get her number, et cetera, that's when you're going to get it. So meditation, again, can help you sort of get to the root of who you are and clear up that muddy intent. Now, with breathing, again, breathing is a very huge part of meditation in most disciplines. So, but with breathing in terms of like voice production, singers know. Like, is anyone a singer in here? Pro or even amateur for that matter? So yeah, it's like, very well. Breath control is very, very important. It's very, very, very important. It's absolutely essential to a good performance. So the same holds true with this. We're not singing, but we are on stage, you know, because when you go up to that girl, she's like, okay, who are you? What do you want? What do you got? Show me what you got, right? To quote Rick and Morty. And then you're going to get swifty and shit on the floor. But anywho, so like I said, posture is the foundation, but breath is the beginning of all vocal production. So what we're going to do now is we're going to review a couple of essential breath techniques that anybody can learn, okay? Again, just like this stuff, anyone can learn this stuff, and you can practice it on a daily basis to improve your voice. So first what I want to do, and we're going to do this at every step of the way, it's probably going to get monotonous and boring. So what's your name, sir?
Kevin.
Stand up, come up here. Okay, and we can do golf claps. We can do golf claps for each guy. So let's review, and everyone do this. We're gonna do this again and again, so it's gonna be absolutely drilled. So let's do it again. Everyone stand up. Okay? So what we're gonna do now, release primary control, sniff the air. Okay? Hands out, palms forward, in front of you, shoulders, right arm, down. Breath, okay. Now, left side, fingers straight, palms out in front of you. Kind of rock back in the heels, okay. Boom, shoulders, left arm up, and down to release that side, okay. So now we're good and loose. What I want you to do, in fact, the rest of you guys can sit down. We're gonna have you stay up here, okay. So I wanna show you real quick explanation of the diaphragm.
Well, let's review the alignment segment that we did last time, just to get ourselves set up well. So the first thing is to access the primary control by releasing that top joint, smelling something nice. You'll notice that a natural breath comes in anyway from doing that. And we might even want to just play with the balance, like maybe go back on the heels a little bit, letting the hips go back a little with it. So there you go, the whole thing. There you go, that's great. And then come back to the middle and do the front part of the feet so we get that ski jump.
Oh yeah.
Ah, that made me breathe. And then we'll come back to middle. Great, now let's do the arm one too.
Okay.
All right, so straightening the fingers, turning the hands forward, coming up and letting the ankles free, a little bit of smelling something nice, touching shoulders, one wrist up, one wrist down, smelling something nice, opening the hand and the elbow bends for the arm to come down. And then we'll do the other side, straightening fingers, turning the palms, ankles free, touch the shoulders. Other arm up as you smell something nice. Open the hand, elbow bends, arm comes down. Yes, now you're all open and ready for excellent breathing.
Okay.
So I want to talk a little bit about the diaphragm because I know a lot of people here, you should speak from the diaphragm.
Yeah, that's what you always hear.
You always hear that, speak from the diaphragm. And you know, I think as with a lot of things, people have an experience of using their breath well, and they call it something that no one else can understand what on earth it is. It's a thing you can't even fathom what that is unless you have an experience.
Right.
And so let's just talk about what the diaphragm is.
Okay.
And look at a picture of it, and then we will experience having good support. Okay. So this is bad that I can't have that just right up there. Okay, so here is a 3D rendering of the diaphragm, which is this dome-shaped thing, and the lungs, and the trachea, and at the top of the trachea you'll see the larynx. So the diaphragm is dome-shaped and it moves down a little bit when it contracts, and it creates more volume in the lung, and that pulls the air in. And then when it relaxes, it goes back up, and the air comes out. So it's attached to the lumbar, these little parts are attached to the spine.
When you're relaxing it, that's actually your exhale.
That's the exhale.
Okay.
Right. And it contracts and pulls the air in. So, when we speak, we want to do two things. We want to be having the air go out, and we want to prevent it from going out too quickly.
Okay.
So
Prevent it from going out too quickly.
Yeah, so it's almost like a little contest between the outgoing muscles and the in-staying muscles. There's a little contest going on. And you find the right balance, and you end up with a voice that is strong and not pushed. And that's so crucial for not damaging your voice or wearing it out.
Okay, right.
Because we think to speak loudly, we need to push the air out, right? I mean, it would feel like that makes sense, but it isn't. You do have to have some engagement, especially in the lower abdominals, to support a loud sound, but then you need the diaphragm not to come up. You want these upper abdominals not to squeeze.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to practice.
So because a lot of people, when they're exhaling, it's almost like you're just clenching it here in order to push.
And that's what we don't want.
Okay, that's what we don't want.
We don't want that.
Because I think that a lot of people, when they hear that, speak through the diaphragm, that's what literally they're thinking of.
Yeah.
They're thinking it's like you're generating some sort of forceful expulsion of the air through here, and then that's what creates the loud sound. And that's why I think a lot of people, they get, at the end of the night, hoarse, damaged voice, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Right. And it's understandable to think that, but doesn't work very well.
Right, okay.
So we're going to play around and see if we can get an experience of that contest between the two things. So first we're going to experience a really free inhalation. And in order to do that, you free up the neck, of course, and then we're going to exhale to stimulate a really free inhale. So you're going to exhale like blowing air out, but not collapsing through here. You'll feel the lower abdominals actually move in. That's it. So it's almost like a little bit of a squeeze down below your navel. And that helps the chest stay up and this not squeeze.
Okay.
Okay? And so let's do it. And then when you're done, the air will just come in. It's just a reflex. Go all the way to the end. There, that's great. Just a natural breath. Okay, let's not do too much of that because it'll make you hyperventilate.
All right.
Okay.
So when you're inhaling, that's when it's actually contracting. So when you inhale, like do an inhale now, you can feel like that's actually your diaphragm contracting and going down. So when you do an exhale, that's it. That's the eccentric motion. Okay? So the inhale's this, exhale's letting it go. So most people think that, at least this is what I thought, is when you're trying to produce a sound or a powerful sound, you need to, everyone says what? Speak from the diaphragm, right? Everyone says that, speak from the diaphragm. So it's kind of this almost hackneyed catchphrase that people just repeat and don't really know what it means. I didn't. I was like, oh, you speak from the diaphragm. So what does that mean? When you want to make a loud sound, you blow air. You blow fucking air and you kind of push it up. Because I thought like the pushing was the concentric part of the motion. But no, it's actually the eccentric part of the motion. So the thing about this, you've also got, think of it like a war. Not a war, like sort of like a little competition between your diaphragm and your abdominal muscles. So your abdominal muscles are going to, like in the lower abdominals, okay, the lower abdominals are going to sort of prevent it from going up too quickly. Make sense? Right? So again, if you don't want the breath to go too quickly, you've got to sort of like limit it through the lower abdominal muscles. All right? So it's a back and forth. You do not want the upper abs to squeeze. You just want these to kind of be preventing it, and you're going to let it go out. So let's take a couple of deep breaths. And you guys can stand up if you want. You can sit down if you feel comfortable with it. And the thing is, so you don't want the upper abs to squeeze. So do a couple of deep breaths. And I want this to stay loose. And keep your chest up as you do it, okay? Keep your chest up. In fact, rock back in your heels a little bit. And this is a little too curved, so let's straighten this out. Okay, boom, chest up, bam. Okay, now do a couple of deep breaths with that. And I want to feel these lower. It's kind of weird. I'm like going to be touching you guys up here a lot. So, okay, yeah, breathe in and out. Okay, that's good. That's good. So let's do a couple of those. So let's start with a really free exhale. Okay, where you feel your lower abs contract at the end. Okay, all the way out. And then the air is going to come in naturally. It's going to flow in naturally after you do that.
Another way to feel things expanding that you want to expand, like around the waist area, is to imagine that you're breathing through a small straw. So that will go like this, like you're sipping through a straw. Yeah, you can feel your waist expanding in your rib cage, right? Yeah. And then you let the air out. And then just take a tiny bit of air like that. Good. And feel that staying out. Great. And then breathe out. Good. Okay, so those are ways to stimulate a good exhale and to feel the expansion through here. Now, when we go to do some support for a voice, we need to keep the diaphragm from coming up too fast. And we're going to do that by experimenting with sounds like hissing. So
Okay.
we're going to do a little snake noise first. We're going to go sss. Yeah. And you can feel full in through here, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like,
Through here?
whoa,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
I'm expanded. Whereas if you just squeeze here to speak, you wouldn't be expanded. So let's do the hissing again. Great. Now we're going to put a sound after it. So we're going to go saw. And the idea is to not collapse on the vowel sound. You want to keep the same feeling that you had on the hissing sound when you go to the vowel. So a collapse would be
like a consistent power through
yeah. If I did it incorrectly, it would go saw,
And
I collapse
souffle,
and
like a souffle
right.
going down.
Otherwise,
I don't know why
saw. Then I keep
Okay.
this all the same as the
So-
as hissing. So
Saw.
yeah,
Right, as opposed to saw.
right.
Right.
Do it.
Saw.
Yeah.
Saw.
Good. Let me just see what's happening here. Go ahead.
Saw.
That was nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can feel it's different from trying to push the air out, right? That would be
Right.
saw.
Yeah, like ha versus.
Right.
So it's just coming from here. Mm-hmm. Saw.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That won't.
Got it.
That won't tire your throat.
So just try to be conscious of having to come from generating the power from the midsection,
Yeah.
or generating sort of like almost like you're squeezing this midsection area,
Yeah. That.
as opposed to
yeah,
trying to power it with your
Don't
lungs.
power it here, and don't
Got it.
push in this
Okay.
solar plexus area. Right. Good. There's another one you can practice. A whispered ah. Now this is one of Alexander's
okay.
exercises. So the whispered ah, you do.
Okay.
I'm just whispering out like I'm trying to fog up a mirror or something, and but I'm doing it very slowly. So I'm not going. Again, I'm
Yeah,
not
like,
not pushing the air out, but controlling the exhale. Beautiful. That's great. And then you just let the air come in, and then we're going to do ah.
Ah. Like that.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do the glottal onset. We'll talk about that in another
Yeah,
segment.
because that's what it feels
but
like.
go
It
ahead
feels
and
like
do
it's a
that.
distinct, separate thing. So I should try to have it flow in.
You can actually do it
Okay.
with a glottal onset.
Ah.
Yeah. Ah.
Ah.
Yes, as gentle with the breath as is whispered ah.
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 That's the right idea.
Ah. So that's kind of the same level of breath you want, is what we're trying to get at with that one.
Maybe just a
Okay.
touch more, but that was good.
Ah.
Yes. Excellent. But very different from ah.
Ah, yeah.
right?
Ah, it seems as though if you're trying to think of it in terms of the air in your lungs as kind of like a volume, it seems like you're using more volume to go ah, as opposed to this where it's
Yes.
it's more economical, I guess.
Yes.
The better economy of breath, I guess
Yes,
you'd call it.
very
Okay.
much.
All right, yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. I'm following here.
Right. And so you can tell that when I do the pushing of the voice, it does sound louder.
Yeah.
Ah, but it's really it's not a very nice sound, and it's going to make me go hoarse.
Right.
So
the
how are
tone
we
is
going to
not
get
as-
the volume?
Yeah.
That's in other segments.
Of course,
But this
right.
is the breath foundation. The breath is not the only thing that contributes to volume.
Right. So I think that that's where a lot of people get mixed up.
Yeah.
Is they assume it's a sheer amount of air being jammed through the the voice box.
Right.
But what you're saying is though, so we want to have this kind of good breath management and use, say, resonance and things of that nature in order to project.
That's right.
As opposed to just sheer brute forcing it.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Remember, the power isn't from the lung. It's coming from the diaphragm, which means, but you're controlling the rate with the lower abdominals. Okay, so you have a boom, a natural breath. So now what we're gonna do, I want you to practice kind of like, think of it like sipping through a straw, okay? Sipping through a straw to feel where you want it to expand, okay? So it's like, and you wanna feel it, again, like you wanna feel it down there, okay? Just a tiny bit, keep your chest up, okay, keep your chest up. Now, the basic idea is you want to keep the diaphragm from coming up too fast. So now go like this. Take a deep breath and then just go. Ah. So you'll feel it. So you'll feel it deflates very quickly, right? It deflates very quickly. So if you go ah, you just feel it deflate immediately. So now let's do this. Get a good breath in, not like a super deep breath, but just a good amount of air in there. Okay. Again, chest up. Keep it loose. Rock back and forth in the heels a little bit to make sure you're loose. Okay, now we're gonna do kind of like a snake sound, okay? We're gonna do a little hiss. We're gonna go sss, keeping it balanced and not letting it come too fast and feeling it here. Okay, so now let's try this. Okay, let's try this. Go. Sa. Sa. Right? So that's, again, you can see you're controlling the breath a lot more, right? So it's like sa. And let's do it higher pitch. Sa. 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 Do it again. I'm going to feel your upper abs. See, these feel tight. These feel tight. So keep the upper abs loose, okay? Sa. 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 Right? So keep those upper abs loose. And remember, it's not the amount of air being jammed through. That's what everyone thinks. That's what I thought. That's what I thought as well. It's not the amount of air being jammed through. In fact, that pushing style, you know what that causes? The laryngitis. That's what causes the hoarseness. That's why Owen sounds like that. That's why I sound like that at the end of a free tour boot camp hot seat weekend. And again, I'm on Saturday trying to get into the cab to go to the airport, and I can't even tell them where I want to go because I literally can't even talk. We have a variety of things that we've been doing to mitigate that for years. But the bare fact of the matter is we weren't projecting in a healthy way. Now, again, most of you people here, you folks aren't like, how many of you are like getting laryngitis on a regular basis? Like one guy. Like again, most of you are probably like, wow, this isn't even really a concern for me. But I will wager that probably at the end of a night, you do maybe feel a little scratchy, a little bit. So this is going to prevent that. Okay, this is going to prevent that. So it's not the amount of air being jammed through. Okay, thanks for coming up. Give him a quick hand.
And that's basically the breath support.
Okay, so just to kind of like reiterate, just to wrap it all up in a nutshell for everybody, just kind of what are let's hit on the main ideas that you should be bearing in mind when we're going through breath support. Just let's bullet point them out here at the end here, okay?
So first of all, of course, always access the proper use of the primary control.
Okay.
Release your neck. Let the air just come in. Then practice doing some hissing to feel the lower abdominals engage and the lengthening of your spine while you do that.
Sa.
Beautiful. Add the voice
sa.
on. You got it.
And then feeling that, again, having to come from here, the exhale, doing a proper exhale.
Yes. And not shortening in the front.
Not shortening in the front.
Right. And then letting it spring in.
And using kind of like a rebound effect to take the air in.
Yes.
And then feeling it from here.
Yes.
Sa, sa, and then ha.
Let's do that one a little with a little less force. The whispered ah. Good. Yeah.
Okay, so there's our breath management techniques.
There you go.
Simple, easy, excellent. Having said all that, let's move on to the next segment, which is going to be what?
Tone production.